back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you into our conversation on Getter and Rumble and YouTube. It is time now to take the political pulse of America. And the beat today, President Trump doubles down while speaking to reporters on Monday, threatening to criminally prosecute, quote, sloppy Chris Christie over the Bridgegate scandal. After Christie's weekend appearance on ABC, the president took to Truth Social to remind his followers about Christie's 2013 debacle. Two of Chris Christie's allies were convicted of intentionally closing lanes on the George Washington Bridge to create problems for a local Democrat mayor who refused to back the former governor's re-election bid. Trump now says he always felt Christie was guilty for his alleged role in the scheme, adding, quote, look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. Well, it looks like the president has hit his breaking point with Christie. And for reaction, we're going to bring in someone who knows a thing or two about it. Joining me now, the hoist of America's Voice Live is Steve Gruber. We'll get there, Steve. Steve, does this surprise you that President Trump is prioritizing Chris Christie at such a time exactly as this?
Well, you know, it seems a little odd in timing, but I'll say this. Obviously, Chris Christie has been somebody who has gone after Donald Trump time and time again. They were friends at one time, right? But Chris Christie has been vicious in his attacks on Donald Trump over the last many years. Now, I don't know if the statute of limitations is in place here or what could possibly be in play, but it is a way for Donald Trump to pull out Chris Christie, shame him, and then stuff him back in the closet a little bit. And so it's just a political, opportunistic moment, I think. I don't think that anybody's going to get prosecuted here. I could be wrong because I don't know the specifics of the case as far as statute of limitations, what might have gone on, cover-ups, all that sort of thing. But, sir, it's a chance for Donald Trump just to say, look, this guy has been a slob, I guess, and take a couple of quick shots at him and then push him back into the shadows wherever Chris Christie is. Because, look, he's not exactly in the headlines anymore, except when he shows up on the Sunday shows to attack Donald Trump, and then back into oblivion he goes.
Yeah. So, Steve, you're there at the White House in about an hour and, let's see, almost at about an hour and a half. It's going to be must-see TV because Trump's going to bring in the cameras, and it's the cabinet meeting. You know, they really need to franchise this. Episode 1, Season 2, whatever it is, I don't know. But this is great stuff. I can't wait to see what he's going to say today. And I just love how he just loves to play to the cameras because it's not just about transparency. It's about basically outing everyone and anything and just kind of just letting everybody understand what's really going on. I just love it. I absolutely love it. What do you expect today, Steve?
Well, I expect some cheerleading over the reduction of crime in D.C. to start with. By the way, I told you yesterday I'd seen 2 homeless people. I saw another one. I'm up to 3. But that is remarkable compared to where it was 6-8 weeks ago when I was most recently at the White House. The amount of crime has dropped precipitously, whether it's carjackings, armed robbery, murders, of course, have dropped through the roof, dropped through the ceiling, floor, whatever. And I'm trying to figure out what happened overnight. As you guys know, I wasn't feeling well yesterday, and so I missed yesterday. Did we have any murders? Do we know? Because if we didn't, that'll make it 13 days.
Didn't hear of any.
I believe, with no murders in D.C. Yeah, didn't hear of any either. So there you go. 13 days. How long has it been since Washington, D.C. went 2 weeks? Because basically, we're just going to call it 2 weeks. We're going to round up at this point. I mean, they have a murder, 2 or 3 a week on average, forever. 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes if you have a bad week, 5. But no murders for 2 weeks. I think you're going to hear about that. I think that's going to be one of the big things you hear about. I think you're going to hear about some of the other efforts being made to help the economy. But you're going to hear about, I think, safety in this country. I think that's the number one thing that he's talking about right now, cleaning up America's cities. What can he do? It's going to be an interesting, complex conversation. But you go to Chicago, for example. Chicago, where I grew up not too far from, has been a shooting gallery my entire life. Who would be opposed to going in there and cleaning it up? We know that the National Guard went into Detroit 1967 and 68 during riots, and into L.A. in 1992 during the riots. What would be wrong with going in during a non-riot situation where there's been 1,500 people shot in Chicago this year. 1,500 people have been shot in Chicago this year. Almost 300 of those people have died. What would be wrong with stopping that? By any means necessary. Let's get it cleaned up. Let's get the guns out of the gangbangers' hands, out of the drug dealers' hands, out of the violent criminals' hands. Let's clean it up. Now, There's some laws that you're going to have to navigate because it's not a federal city like D.C., but who would be opposed to that? Who would be opposed? And I really think that's what we're going to hear about in the cabinet meeting. That's going to be one of the number one things. Maybe the economy a little bit, maybe some conversation about Russia and Ukraine, maybe some other conversation about what's going on. But I think that that's the big story here is safety in America's cities. And I think that's what he's going to be focusing on at 11 o'clock this morning in that cabinet meeting.
Yeah, Chicago, Baltimore, New York City, those likely the cities that President Trump would call out during that cabinet meeting when he likely brings up this issue. I'm just curious from your personal experience, as you've been traveling through Washington, D.C. over the past couple of days, obviously National Guardsmen have been on patrol, have been out. Are they blending in? What's kind of the atmosphere there in the nation's capital with these guardsmen on the street? From what I've heard from others is that they just kind of blend in. They're there, but they're not a distraction, if you will. What's been your experience?
Well, you see 3 or 4 of them together. They're walking along or they're standing on a street corner. They're just there. I saw one group standing and talking to some young women, just chatting and laughing and no idea what they were talking about. They're across the block from where I was. But just having a conversation, just being present, being visible is what it is. You know, and if I go back to places like when I visited Paris most recently, the Eiffel Tower, you have groups of 3. Military men walking around in groups to keep the Eiffel Tower safe. Nothing wrong with that. Nobody feels unsafe by having the National Guard walk around. And if I get a chance to ask the question to the president today, here's what I'm going to ask him. We'll say, hey, you were able to raise the enrollment rates for the military. You're able to raise the enrollment rates for ICE and other things. You've got, you know, the sign-up rates are better than they've been in a long time. What can be done here in Washington to increase the rates of police recruits? How can you get recruiting up in places like Baltimore or Chicago or LA? You go through the top 10 cities in America, every one of them is short officers. Places like Baltimore, 1,200 officers short, for example. 1,200 officers short. D.C. is woefully short on recruitment. What can you do from a federal level, from the West Wing, to increase recruitment numbers for police? You've done it for the military. You've done it for ICE. You've done it for Border Patrol. What can you do to encourage people to get back involved in law enforcement on the front lines of these cities that need the help? Because all of these major cities are short, sometimes 100, sometimes 1,200 officers short. That's why you have a crime problem. There's not enough people on the streets. So to answer your question, yeah, they blend in because people are like, hey, I mean, who feels unsafe with 3 National Guardsmen standing next to them? I don't. I mean, it just brings a sense of security, I think.
You know, I think you're right, Steve, and I think that most people who are logical and reasonable in America agree with you. But the bottom line is the Democrats are going to fight this tooth and nail because if it proves to be true, it's a great campaign issue, not just for President Trump in the midterms, but also Republicans moving forward. So they're going to fight it tooth and nail, Steve. If you were positioning and advising Democrats right now, what would you tell them to do? Things aren't looking good.
What would I tell them to do?
Yeah.
I tell them to go to heyjackass.com. All right, it's a real website, heyjackass.com.
Is it really?
It follows the number of people shot. It is. You look it up right now while you're sitting there. Heyjackass.com follows the number of people shot, killed in Chicago, Illinois on a daily basis. It updates weekly, daily, monthly. It has complete stats every single day about the number of people shot, wounded, and killed in Chicago, Illinois. Go to that website. And you say, well, you want more of this? 1,500 people shot, almost 300 murdered this year. I think those are the numbers that I saw yesterday. Go look it up and ask yourself, how are you going to run on this, Democrats? You're going to run that, hey, the south side of Chicago has been a shooting gallery and a bloodbath for my entire life. You're okay with that. That's what you're running on. Less law and order, cashless bail. That's what you want. You want a revolving door at the local jail. If that's what you're going to run on, thank you. That's a gift to America right now. You look at Donald Trump's numbers on Rasmussen today, he's +1. First time he's been above water since early July. His numbers are rising. In fact, they're rising on all the polls right now. Wonder why that is. What's changed in the last 2 weeks? Ask yourself, what has changed in the last 2 weeks? Safety in this city that I'm standing in is what has changed in the last 2 weeks. That's what's at the front of the conversation for lots of people, not just in Washington, D.C., but in Chicago and Baltimore and Cleveland and elsewhere. People want safe cities. People want crime reduced. People want criminals off the street. People want the drug dealers gone and the open-air drug dens gone. And they want their kids to be able to walk to school, all of those things. So that's it right there. It's safety. And if the Democrats want to run on less law and order, more craziness, more violence, good luck with that message.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
So-
website, Steve. Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
You found it.
Oh, I found it. I found it. Yeah. As a matter of
incredible. I mean, the statistics run deep. They're broken down by precinct and everything else. Yeah.
yeah, and also
Well,
by like
well,
where
actually, if
people
you- if
were
you-
actually shot, like in the head or in the
That's
abdomen.
what I was going to tell you.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The face, the neck.
Well, there is the shot in the junk meter. Yep, you can find that one too. Shot in the junk meter on there, and so there's some humor
there's
involved with
that.
it. But it shot in the backside meter, which they say it a little differently. But yeah, look, if you want to run on that, if that's your message that this is okay, people getting shot in the abdomen and the head, look at the number of mass shootings. That's another graph you'll find on there. There's something like 15 or 20 mass shootings in Chicago this year. You never hear about those on TV, though, do you? Mm-hmm. You don't hear about the fact that there's one there. I think there were 18 people shot in a mass shooting in Chicago earlier this year. Don't hear that on the nightly news. And again, if Democrats want to run on the idea of, hey, this is fine, this is normal, like I say, good luck with that message.
Well, and Steve, here's the thing with Democrats, their argument here is obviously extremely weak, but what they specifically say is that, well, crime is just down. It's at their lowest level. And I'm thinking, hold on for a second. Down from what?
Yeah.
It's still high. It's still up. It's still bad. And then they say, since COVID, since COVID levels. Well, that's apples and oranges. I mean, they've got the whole thing wrong. And if you're going to argue a PDF document on this, good luck.
Since COVID, Steve, where they didn't mind the National Guard in the streets, right, to make sure that you kept your mask on and didn't go to church. Just wanted to throw that in there.
That's
Please
right.
do.
Or drove down the street in Minnesota and shot at the people on the porch for being outside of their houses with paint guns. Remember that? Thank you, Governor Tim Walz, for that little bit of aggressiveness. Look, again, if the Democrats want to run on we're pro-crime, we're pro-criminal, and that's basically what they're doing here, because what Donald Trump is doing here, look, this is the capital of the United States of America. This is basically the capital of the world. You want to plant some grass, plant some flowers, clean up the homelessness, get rid of the crime? I don't see how you argue against that. It's a bizarre tactic to me.
Well,
cleaning
and then
up the
they have
nation's
to
capital and making it a crown jewel.
And then the Democrats have to bank on that crime goes up. I mean, that's basically what they're banking on, because then they can say, well, Donald Trump's policies didn't work. President Trump's policies, the National Guard didn't work because crime is still bad. It's like, really? That's what you're banking on? Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Anyhow, guys.
That's what they're banking on.
Well, Steve, we appreciate it. We're
sorry.
glad you're feeling better. We appreciate it. And we hope you get a question for the president today. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, still ahead here on American Sunrise, the memoir of one of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims, Virginia Giuffre, is set to be published just months after her death. What is expected to be revealed in this new book? Well, we're going to bring you those details. Also, later, a Lake Tahoe ice cream shop had an unlikely customer. In moments, how a sweet tooth bear's early morning visit left the small business owner with quite the mess to clean up, and one flavor conspicuously absent. Those details ahead, and a smile just ahead as American Sunrise continues.